Well, tonight you've heard testimonials and may have even shared some of your own stories that represents the roots of our resistance. These stories of our past and our present showcase the beauty of our struggles, define the resiliency of our community, and unveils the power of our being. Yeah. Stories have been the theme tonight. When shared, our stories can free us from isolation. When shared, our stories can inspire others to find values in theirs. When shared, our stories can transform the world. Yes. The Hispanic Black Gay Coalition is the product of what happens when we lift our voices with the audacity to tell our stories. In the years prior to 2009, those in Boston's LGBTQ community probably couldn't tell you who Corey Yarbrough and Quincy Roberts were. A recent transplant to Boston, I quickly abandoned attending LGBTQ events because they often did not speak to the issues I cared about. Feeling powerless to make a difference, I retreated to a private, isolating life that often reminded me of the lonelier days of living in a fearful closet. My story, and the story of an unborn HBGC, could have easily stopped there. As many of you know, it wasn't until I met Quincy. Can I say Quincy? Another Black gay man in the city, that I was able to share my story of isolation and frustration with Boston's LGBTQ scene. It was at that moment that we realized his story was my story, and my story was his. The bond from our similar experiences gave us the confidence to engage others who shared commonalities and wanted to make a difference. In the earlier days, HBGC was the cute group with the silly sounding acronym that was just too difficult to pronounce. We were met with some skepticism and pushback from other leaders and organizations. Discouraging questions and statements that went something like, I know you want it to be owned and operated by people of color, but why don't you just become a program of a larger mainstream organization? Or, those type of organizations have existed in the past. The community is so fickle with supporting groups like that. Or, which I still get to this day, the population you want to serve is so small and narrow, how do you expect to get any funding? There were many times that we almost gave into this criticism, but the experiences behind our stories constantly reminded us of the potential of our dreams. Honoring the truth of our experiences encouraged us to persevere. From those persistent acts of resistance, I found my voice along with many, many others. More importantly, the city of Boston gained an organization that was once deemed impossible or unnecessary by many. An organization many Black and Latino LGBTQ people can now call home. An organization with programs that speak to the diverse experiences of our communities. An organization that supports the body, mind, and soul. An organization with leadership that reflects our own faces. And an organization with an approach to community empowerment that considers the cultural and immediate needs of our population. That organization is the Hispanic Black Gay Coalition. Since 2009, HBGC, with the support of all of you, has helped change the landscape and dynamic of what it means to provide for Black and Latino LGBTQ communities in Boston. According to a recent report from the Movement Advancement Project, only 4% of LGBT organizations are led by executive directors of color. And only slightly better, A mere 17% are governed by board chairs who are of color. These imbalances mirror the lack of representation and power that people of color face in our larger society. It also makes it near impossible for the voices of LGBT people of color to help shape the direction of many organizations and the larger LGBTQ movement. HBGC's existence represents a form of resistance in face of these disparities. Through a board of directors that consists of all people of color, HBGC ensures there will always be events and programs that are grounded in our experiences. By creating an executive director position that will always be accessible to an LGBT person of color, HBGC chips away at a broader institution that tries to deny access to power. Over the past 6 years, we've even seen HBGC inspire the creation of new groups to better serve subpopulations of our community, and have witnessed new leaders of color emerge before our eyes who have gone on to serve our communities in their own unique ways. But in addition to leadership, most of us are also familiar with the harsh funding realities that exist for LGBT organizations of color. That same study also found that only 8% of LGBT grant funding goes to organizations that primarily serve communities of color. HBGC has also challenged these inequities by fighting harder to convey the importance of investing in LGBT organizations of color. And as a result, we have secured more local and national grants that will directly impact communities often overlooked by the mainstream community. We have also seen HBGC's organizational budget grow over the years, permitting us to hire individuals from our own communities, plan annual events and conferences to amplify our experiences, and bring new services to communities that were once overlooked. These accomplishments by no means should be celebrated as an end to the fight or a completion of a journey. This is just the beginning of what we deserve, and we deserve so much more. Amen. Though HBGC has secured funding to advance much of our work, we know the needs of our communities extend far beyond grant priorities. We also know we cannot rely on the contributions of others to meet all of our unique and evolving needs. Undoubtedly, it will take the resources that exist within this room to keep the legacy of resistance alive. Our collective power can only reverse this oppressive narrative of underrepresentation and exclusion. So tonight, I call on each of you to help us do that. To help us do that by financially empowering Boston's leading organization working to advance Black and Latino LGBTQ communities. Can I get a hand clap for financial empowerment? Envelopes were in your program booklets that you received today. And if they fell out, we have more that will be circulating around the room. Please take an envelope and do your part tonight to help us make a difference. Every contribution at any amount will go a long way. For example, $50 donated tonight to HBGC will cover food for 2 of our discussion groups, permitting individuals to connect, learn from one another, and find healing. A $100 contribution tonight covers all the expenses for one pair in our mentorship program, which provides professional development trainings and enrichment activities to ensure there are more success stories like Zelini and Callie. A $500 contribution tonight covers the average cost of the New Leaders Institute's capstone project, permitting our next generation of activists like Joanne to gain the skills and experience to create social change. A $1,000 contribution tonight will greatly support our Hughes program as we work to empower and create more safe spaces for queer and trans women of color in our community. And A contribution of $2,000 or more tonight will keep HBGC independently housed for a month. Some of you may remember that last year, I stood here in presence of HBGC working towards an independent office space that was more accessible and centralized in our communities. And tonight, I have a good report. Tonight, I am happy to announce that in January, HBGC has just closed the deal to move into an 1,100 square feet office space in downtown Boston. Finally, to go home. Y'all gonna come see us?
There's no place like home. Like a French party.
Yes. So in addition to our new office space in downtown Boston that you'll be hearing about a lot more soon, we will continue to maintain our office site at Union United Methodist Church as our South End satellite office. This doesn't happen and can't be sustained without you all. Your support tonight is critical to keep this growth going. Are y'all with me?
Yes.
So, for those who aren't with me, as if giving to HBGC wasn't enough, I brought in a friend to motivate you. Anybody like Rihanna? Yeah. Any Rihanna fans? Okay. So if not for me, if not for HBGC, we've received a last-minute donation from the individual, Mark Statman, who donated all of our musical items tonight of an autographed Rihanna poster. So here's your extra motivation. Anyone who gives tonight and fills out our envelope so we have your information will be entered into a raffle to receive Rihanna. So now would be the time to find the envelopes. But in all seriously, if you are willing to invest in HBGC, if you are willing tonight to continue investing in Black and Latino lives, could you put your hands up in the air to show your support of our organization? Fantastic. This is going to be a competitive raffle. Again, envelopes are being circulated by our board members. Could our board members raise their hands? If you need an envelope, they're walking around. We also have other volunteers walking around passing out envelopes. We will also have board members with baskets collecting those. Please give whatever you can tonight to keep us moving forward. Thank you so much.